Mr. John Wolf, sir, you disagree with me, but I'm telling you, you are in the presence of greatness right now. Okay, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like I'm telling you right now, this is grab your knees 2.0 right now. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, before the end of this year, you will be stunned at the greatness that is Party Animals, ladies and gentlemen.
And we just lost the viewers we have. Dude,
you think I'm kidding? Like the footage you're seeing on your screen right now is actually, I think this is my son. This might be my son, and of course the black one, the monkey. That was us, the ape. You know, but the game is, oh my god, it is hilarious. Okay,
bro, what's this game about? You got to beat each other up and throw each other around like wrestling buddies?
No.
What's going on here?
So the premise is pretty simple. Okay, the premise is pretty simple. It's a la your Fall Guys, like bunch of puzzle games, bunch of like platforming, puzzly kind of things where there's obstacle courses. In this specific instance, that you're you see somebody he threw himself into the fire. Anyway, there's this in this specific example, right? You're basically grabbing a bunch of candy from the main area, moving it to your area, opening the valve, and then dropping it down the chute, and you get credit for it.
This
right?
thing's gonna get streamed like crazy, Kay, isn't it,
bro? But the hilarious thing is, you're this cute animal, right? You know, you're a cute you're a duck, you're a monkey, you're whatever. Pick your animals. Take a look. Check your animals. But you are vicious mother effers, okay? Vicious mother effers. You can like run and punch somebody, and when you punch them in the face, it is such a satisfying feeling to get punch someone in the face,
dude.
Or to get punched in the face. You just go, oh no, he's out, and he's just dude. And you see his eyes turn black. It's just. Bro.
First of all, we need to mod ourselves in this thing so that we come out just doing one of those.
I gotta tell you,
crazy. Like they just walk around like this, dude. Like,
oh, see, and see, here you are. So this is the multiplayer aspect, obviously, and y'all know me. I am a non-multiplayer gamer guy. I am just no multiplayer at all. But I'm part of the Xbox Insider program. And this was one of those opportunities. And of course, I play with my kids, and I'm always trying to promote my children playing games, enjoying games with them, with each other, and all that. So I saw this, and I thought, fun, and as you can see on the screen, as you mature in the game, you get accessories. So there's a dude, an alligator with glasses on. There's a dude with the horn. As you mature and you get more points, you can use those points to buy outfits or
where's the
monetize.
How is there no wolf in there? Come on.
There is a wolf.
Oh,
there's a wolf. Yeah. You missed him. There's definitely a wolf right there. But yeah, see, so in this one, you pick up see down there on the bottom, it's a pit full of like acid. See, and they're supposed to throw you down there.
Yeah,
right?
but why are they getting you? Why are they getting your son like in a suplex and like a body slam? It's like WWE animals. What's going on?
So it's basically, this is basically what do you call it? A battle royale. Last man survives. See, if you fell into the thing, if you're not quick and you don't climb back out, you're dead, right? And the idea is to knock them out. See, and now you're dead.
It's literally a Royal Rumble is what it is.
Yes. The idea is to knock people out, right? And then the last person in the stands is the winner. But here's the best part. Even this is great, right? So you're knocked out. You're not in the game anymore. What do you get to do? You get to throw banana peels on the floor and throw freaking fish at people's heads, right? If you don't like somebody, you throw a fish at them. It knocks them out long enough for somebody to pick them up and throw them overboard.
I mean, dude, I'm not gonna lie. Am I gonna try this out with my daughter for sure? She's probably gonna love it, laughing. But this thing looks wacky and zany, dude. And that's exactly these type of games that catch fire on Twitch that you'll see people streaming it and just having a good time with the community and stuff. This looks crazy. We should play this with the community. This
bro, it is a combination of cute and maliciousness all at the same time. You know what I'm saying? You know when that kid is my kid. I have a daughter that's 6. I have a son that's 4. So they're at that part in their lives where they can be very cute and malicious at the same time. You know, when they give you that evil smile and you're like, oh, they're cute, right before they pour everything on the floor. You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
Up to something.
the essence of cute and maliciousness is literally what builds this game. These guys are so cute. Everything you see, oh, it's so cute. My kids are so cute. And then you see one of these mother effers just like deck another one. They do headbutts. It's just, oh my God, it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
I'm letting everyone know, if we play this game together, I don't care about winning. I just want to body slam everybody. get them in a suplex, dude. And then walk around and do the little walk like they're doing.
So how I discovered this was I needed a palate cleanser. I just needed a palate cleanser because we're all in Starfield. We're all out there. We're all doing what we're doing. We're enjoying ourselves. But you need a palate cleanser because you know every once in a while you want to disconnect for a while. Because the more I play Starfield, the more I realize that Starfield is going to be a game I'm going to play for a very long time. And you can't just be doing that one thing. I'm a grazer. Shout out to Pong Soul for coining that term.
Me too.
I'm a grazer. So I just can't sit with just one piece of content forever for a long time. And I'm like 4 days into this thing, right?
You saw that? You just saw that bomb
bro. This whole thing, like when you hit someone with a fish and it knocks him out, it is the most satisfying feeling, man. It's the most So I played this just as a palate cleanser. I ended up playing 2-3 hours of this instead of playing Starfield.
Look at them walking around with a plunger. Look, they're walking around with a plunger as a weapon.
See, and they throw you out right away. They throw you out, and you gotta be quick.
Oh my God, this is awesome, dude. How is this not on my
so
radar?
Good.
Look, rock bottom, all the way to the bottom. This is amazing.
It is so good. So for the folks that happen to be in here and they're like, "Oh, come on now, seriously?" Trust me, this is Fall Guys 2.0. Put it on your radar. It's coming to Game Pass day one. And oh, by the way, just so you know, although this is not related, but I figured, hey, might as well kind of combine. I was given an opportunity to get Game Pass, a Game Pass 3-month code, and nice. They wanted to sponsor the channel for that purpose or whatever, right? I obviously am a Game Pass subscriber from way back, so at some point during the one of the shows, I may just give away the 3-month code. So shout out to all those who are continued supporters. You will get a 3-month code from me at some point. I will throw it into the chat.
3-month code right now for Game Pass is hot, and I'll tell you why.
It's becoming lucrative. Yes, it's becoming lucrative.
We got Starfield a little while ago. Okay, a few weeks back. Now we're getting Forza, Party Animals. I mean, and then also today I think Liza P was released. That I tried it out for like an hour. Excellent, by the way. Really good. Bloodborne type gameplay, and I feel like so far in my hour in, I feel I kind of like the game a little bit better than Bloodborne, than the beginning of Bloodborne.
Really?
I know that's sacrilegious to say, but the reason that I like it a little bit better than Bloodborne so far is because of the theme. How it has the Pinocchio theme, and then I was a big fan of the movie when I was a kid, so. It's come. I think I'm gonna play it through. I think it's pretty good. I got up to the first boss K, and then I died, and like my lunchtime was over, so I had to get back to work. But it plays amazingly.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want to welcome you to the latest episode of the Gamers Playground, the show where we myself and the man. We try to come here and talk games and demystify the monolith that is sometimes known as PCMR.
And slander.
I'm your host.
And slander.
And a little bit of slander, yes. Indeed. I am, of course, your host, Mr. K. Asante, TKO Asante, and all the places that we always communicate. And I am joined by Mr. Latino Heat himself, the missionary launcher.
Come on,
Mr.
man.
John Wolf.
Killing me with that. What's up, everyone?
What's going on, John?
Good, man. Hey, I know that this past weekend you and Everborn had to cancel the Gaming Circle podcast because real life came in, man. But we missed you on the weekend. But now we have today's show, Monday show, so it's gonna be a heck of a time. Everybody in the chat, I want to say welcome. Thank you for being here, just like you are. Every single week. I see a lot of the same names, and we really appreciate the support, guys. Don't forget that the super chats are open, and we'll read them as soon as possible. And like always, guys, we love to engage with you guys. Send in your comments and stuff like that, and let's get to it, Kay. We got some good stuff today.
Sure. Yeah. Well, okay. So first and foremost, I was going to talk about my Backlog Brothers segment. I had some interesting things to show, but of course, the minute I was about to show it, Now I'm not able to get it on the damn screen.
Oh,
as you know,
Gremlins got us again.
This is how it happens. So before I show you, let me first and foremost, well, you specifically tell me about your adventures because and as we all know, we have adventures. Yes, and explain what we mean by a new player. We'll get there.
We'll get there, Kirby. We got to reel you in. We got to reel you in. All right, give us a chance.
So what I want to know from you, sir, is how has your adventures been going in your emulation / ROG Ally, take it on the go, keep it at home interface thing? Have you finally achieved nirvana? Are you at that place where you take it with you and it's seamless, perfect, or are there still some growing pains? Are you still working on it? Where are you with that?
Okay, I want to say that for the ROG Ally, I am when it's docked, which it's been docked 85% of the time. Mr. Joanna Dark calls it the umbilical gamer. Okay, so shout out to Mr. Joanna Dark. Everything is running smooth. I have it hooked up with cloud saves. The works, everything is perfect. Also, when I launch a game on my PC, I also have cloud saves through EmuDeck. EmuDeck, I think, is the cream of the crop when it comes to that. And then the only times that I've really been suffering that I get hiccups, is for example, when I have a game on my SD card, saved on my SD card or my internal hard drive. For some reason, sometimes it gets confused. Hey, do you want to use the version that's on your hard drive or on this one? And the cloud saves get a little bit messed up there. So I've had to strictly go to.
Okay.
So I've had to strictly use the version that's on the hard drive, but I think that's a me problem. That might be something that I did wrong through the settings. But other than that, man, I pretty much achieved nirvana. If I start playing Breath of the Wild on Yuzu. On my ROG Ally, I can jump on my PC and pick up the save right where I am, man. I'm super happy with that project that I started.
For real. Okay. Okay. So and how about that integrated graphics card? Because I know that was a question that we discussed on the show some time back. Has that integrated graphics card been in hindsight? Was it a good purchase? Are you still happy with it?
Yeah, I'm super satisfied with it. I wasn't looking for 4K performance, even though I can get 4K performance on some games. Forza Horizon 5, I was able to get 4K 60 relatively easy. With a little mix of settings, of course, never ultra. That's not what that card is designed for. But 1440p gaming with high settings. Everything has been flawless. Everything's over 80, between 80 and 120 frames, which is exactly what I wanted for my TV setup. So, yeah, man, to answer your question more direct, I'm 100% satisfied with the purchase. Don't regret it at all. Is it pricey? Yeah, it was pricey, but do I think it was worth it? It was worth it for me, for what I wanted.
Did it kick you in the teeth as far as the pricing is concerned? A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
But in hindsight, it seems to have worked out for you. Okay.
Yeah. The only thing is, I know when we get to that world where we have ROG Ally 2 with a more powerful card, I'm hoping I can get some decent money if I offload it, as a combo. I hope I can recoup something back, but you know how that is. So.
It's a crapshoot, sir. That's one thing where you can't really necessarily depend on that stuff. Speaking on that, right? Hello, yes, and shout out to all the great people already in the chat. It's been a week since I've done this, so it's been a minute. I have been neglecting my podcast duties. It's been a minute. But before we even get started in earnest, let's catch up on a quick super chat that was left by BT Maverick 707. $10 super chat. Salute to you, good sir. He says, "What up, fellas? Any hands on with the 3.5 OS of the deck on the preview channel? I jumped in and the new color vibrancy and performance upgrades and tested out Jedi Survivor and Remnant 2. Wow, you played Jedi Survivor on the deck? I could barely get that thing to play on the damn ROG Ally. You got to tell me what your settings are, because I guess it depends on your priorities. Really, it depends on if you're trying to hit 60 or you're trying to hit What is your priority? Visuals or whatever? Have you tried playing any of those games on the ROG Ally yet?
No, I have not. I have not. The last game that I think I've been heavily so into Starfield K that besides Liza P today and squeezing in real life and MK1, that's really all I've been playing for the last 2 weeks. It's the Starfield effect, I think that's what all of us are facing right now. You know that little meme with a ghost from Call of Duty looking at you funny? That's the way my backlog is looking at me right now. Like, hey, buddy, why are you neglecting us?
What's happening to us? You know what? Talk to me a little bit about that Mortal Kombat, because I played a little bit of that as well, and I feel like it may get lost in the sauce a bit because it's really among many titans of gaming right now, but it deserves some attention. What do you think?
Yeah, well, before I tell you that, to answer the question directly, I wouldn't be able to give him back feedback because I got rid of my Steam Deck. I got rid of it to kind of absorb the cost of the little combo with the Asus ROG I was buying in the eGPU. So no more Steam Deck for me, even though I think that's pretty much top of the food chain when it comes to PC handheld. So MK1K, right off the bat, Ed Boon does it again. Ed Boon and team does it again, man. They don't miss with Mortal Kombat. You would think, I was reminiscing when I started playing the game because this is like a whole new beginning for MK.
I agree.
This is a reboot, right? So I was reminiscing a little bit, thinking about all the older games, and it's incredible to me how MK, they kind of used to, especially leading up to, I would say, MK9, they would really look at what Street Fighter or Tekken was doing and kind of innovate on it and kind of, I want to say, soft copy it and then kind of like make it their own, And then as soon as MK9 released and they started focusing on story, and it really started with MK versus DC, if you really think about it, where they really started with the story stuff. That's their bread and butter. Their storytelling is amazing, and it's funny because I was even telling my wife from playing, a few chapters of the story, how just give these guys the money so that they can make the movie, because they're the quality of cinematics that NetherRealm is doing right now for MK blows away anything Mortal Kombat that has ever been done. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a sucker for that first movie. Okay, the nostalgia gets me, especially that reptile versus Liu Kang fight in Outworld. I love that fight. Okay, but still, it's incredible how they keep on innovating every single time that they bring out a game. They have a fresh new fatalities. Dude, how many ways can you think of killing people? Like, and they've mastered this thing, okay?
They keep it fresh on the killing people front,
It gets me wincing. It gets me going, ooh, every single time, man. So shout out to that. How about your time with it? How long have you spent with it?
Honestly, I have about an hour and a half into the game. I recorded some footage, but I won't show that here. We'll leave that for another time. But I got to be honest with you, like, this is the culmination of what they've built, man. I don't think there's been a better Mortal Kombat. Like, I really don't think and yes, Mr. Joanna Dark, it's on the freaking Abacus. How the hell? And when I say that's an amazing, a monumental feat. I haven't seen it on the Switch.
Okay,
but to see the graphic output from the Series X, which is where I played it, to see the pores on the faces of the people, and then to imagine that has been downscaled to the Abacus.
Okay, so what? I saw reviews, and I don't know if you've been looking at all over Twitter. Supposedly, this thing runs like trash, like hot garbage on the Switch. Okay, it's got loading issues.
When a rose grows from concrete, you don't complain about the thorns. You just talk about the fact that the rose grew from concrete.
Listen, it's time for the Switch successor. That's all. That it's been time, and this game even more.
So directly to talk about the game itself, the Mortal Kombat game itself, I have to say it's like somebody at NetherRealm or Ed Boon decided, you know what? I want our story missions to be Uncharted, and then I want our fights to be Mortal Kombat.
Did you see
that? They started on that path some time ago, and to me, this is the culmination of all of it. Is it cheesy 80s? Of course it's cheesy 80s, right? So when I make those comparisons, do not suggest that the subject matter is highbrow or it has risen to some kind of caliber that makes it, something more than it's not. No, it's still very, very cheesy 80s fare, ridiculous dialogue, hilarious, but done earnestly, right? And the fidelity and the graphic output and the how much time and effort and how much they put into all of the production work, it is staggering how good this game looks. It's just mind-blowing. Like when you see Shang Tsung, when you see Sindel walk around, I'm like, are we watching an FMV? Like it's literally an FMV.
Yeah.
The whole thing is an FMV.
Do you like their redesigns? Like so far from what you've seen, do you like the redesigns that they've done to make some characters appear younger? Like Reptile, he looks like barely 20.
Bro,
Sub-Zero
I love what they've done with Reptile.
Are basically twins.
Reptile has always been like a throwaway character. What they've done with Reptile, they've made him earnest. They've given him agency. Have you seen with what they've done with Baraka? Baraka, the Tarkhan, and forgive the spoilers. Tarkhan, is it Tarkhan? I think it's Tarkhanites, right?
Yeah,
are no longer. Yeah, they're no longer a people. They're an affliction. Like just crazy. This crazy things have happened in this world, but it's very, very good.
It's subtle changes that I think that for a reboot, it kind of makes sense, and I won't go into spoiler territory either because I want everybody to enjoy. But if you did not play MK11, it's not a must, but I think it will help tremendously going into MK1 to understand why all of a sudden, for example, there's a couple of characters that are related in this game that have never been related before. And when you see that, you're going to be like, wait a minute, that's never happened before. That's new.
Yes, sir.
So
yes,
definitely
sir.
check out MK11. I think it's on Game Pass right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And I mean, by now MK11 CD keys or anywhere you could get it dirt cheap. But last question on MK. How are you liking the gameplay so far? Do you feel it's too much like MK11? And do you like the tag system that they have in the assist system?
So, like again, I've only played an hour so far. The waters so far I've dipped my toes in. I can definitely tell that the waters are deep, but I've only been shallow with it. There are a lot of systems upon systems on display here, right? In addition to all the stuff that you know from MK and the X-ray moves and the fatalities. In addition to all that, now you have the tag system, and the tag system is not even once per round. It's like on a timer, so you can keep using it. And depending on which fighter you use, sometimes if you combine a tagged fighter with one of your main fighters, and some of the tagged fighters are from the main campaign and some of them are not, which is also very weird.
Yeah,
right.
I think they explained that though. They explained that.
Yeah, they do explain it in the game. Yes, but it's still very unusual. Like out of nowhere, Stryker shows up and he's got no bearing to anything in the story. He just shows up and then he's out.
Stryker.
But Stryker, and he just shows up and he throws a bomb or whatever, and then he's peace out. It's very strange. But what I think is interesting about it is you can tell that they've spent a lot of time working on the tit for tat aspect of it, like really balancing it. So like with the tag characters, if you find yourself in a position where you have a character that does not have like a ranged ability, you get yourself a tag character that does have ranged ability, and now all of a sudden you have ranged ability. You can use that in combos. It's very intricate and interesting. I love that they've done what they've done with this. I just fear that because it's among so much going on right now, that it may kind of get lost in the shuffle. And then here comes Tekken, the big boss dog of them all, and Tekken will take up all the space in 2024. Although I believe that Mortal Kombat probably deserves some credit too. Like graphically, wow. Oh my God. If you see the graphics on display.
As far as fighting games go, I'm a Mortal Kombat guy. I've always been a Mortal Kombat guy, and even and then after Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and then we go into the Killer Instincts of the world and Tekkens of the world. Not diminishing those games by any means. I mean, it just depends on what type of game that you grew up with, and I guess that you preferred, right? I've always preferred Mortal Kombat for just the characters. When I was little, I really, really used to love that movie, A Big Trouble in Little Chinatown. That's where they got a lot of the inspiration for this from. Just being a fan of that Kurt Russell movie, and then growing up with Mortal Kombat, every single time that a new Mortal Kombat is coming, okay, I get like a little kid. I get super excited, and I remember Mortal Monday. I remember talking about Mortal Kombat in school, drawing ninjas during my lunchtime and during classes, to be honest. Right? So I just remember that, and it brings back so many good memories, and seeing these characters.
I'm sorry. Forgive me. I know. His name is Kirby Zero Louise. So you have to expect some Mario. You have to expect some Nintendo-ness from them. But forgive me, sir, and I appreciate the $2 super chat, but you cannot, and I refuse. It's like calling Splatoon a shooter. Like, get out of here! Like,
they're gonna come after you now. They're coming after you. It's over.
I feel like that meme where they're just like, get that out of here.
Are you saying
get that Smash garbage when we're talking about fighters? Like, what?
Are you saying Foam Stars is not going to be a shooter, Kay? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Smash is as much of a fighter as Foam Stars is a shooter. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's crazy, dude.
And I know. Virtual pitchforks are getting lifted. I know that the tomatoes are coming right here. It's cool, but I'm sorry. I am sorry. I will not let anyone compare. Well, when we're talking about Mortal Kombat, when we're talking about Street Fighter,
this is a serious conversation here. Okay?
How do you sully the conversation with talk of Smash Brothers? Ha.
It's like when we talk about ray tracing and we're comparing ray tracing on a PC and then ray tracing on the soon to be exactly. We'll get to there. But okay, we got two big topics today. Okay,
yes,
and I know you're hosting, but let me kind of lead you on a little bit on what we're going to be focusing on first. Big shout out to C Money and his wife Doodle. This morning, as I started work, they had a very, very good conversation on their show. C Money, if you're in the chat or Doodle, post your link of your channel so that people can check it out after our show tonight, or if you get a chance tomorrow. They had such a great conversation of Apple and Apple coming into the ecosystem that my thoughts for today's show was going to be centered around the Steam console that is rumored that got rumored sometime last week. But I want to throw in a couple of Apple stuff too, because their conversation was very, very well thought out, very engaging, and I enjoyed that. So, okay, let's set up our first half of the conversation with Apple and what they're doing in the or what they appear to be wanting to do. Okay, we'll go down that route, and then we'll talk about that Steam console.
Well, okay. The Apple stuff. Let's start with the Apple stuff.
Yeah, let's start with the Apple stuff. Okay? So I got some notes here that I want to read.
Yeah. You go ahead.
Let me go through this first, and then Kay, I got some questions here, and then you can give your thoughts. All right. So
sure.
And Doodle and C Money again, post that link, guys, because it was an incredible conversation, and they had a lot of great ideas of how Apple can come in to the gaming space and all that good stuff. So really good stuff. All right. So, okay, this past week, we know that Apple had their big keynote where they unveiled the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Pro. Okay, this sucker releases. They're going to release on September 22nd. As you know, Apple is they do their thing. All right. So the big thing is the A17 Pro chip, what they're calling. That it's basically they worked on three things here is what they told us. They wanted to work on performance and efficiency. They wanted for complex applications and new rendering capabilities. Okay, they're promising hardware accelerated ray tracing. All right. They're also saying that they worked on the Metal FX upscaling that combines the performance of the GPU and the neural engine, which I don't even know what that is, to produce high-resolution graphics while using much less power. All right? They're saying that this chip is supposedly going to be 70% faster than the GPU found in like the iPhone 12 Pro. And then we're almost done here. They showed a demo of ray tracing that we were just talking about a few moments ago, running at 30 FPS. It was showing off a drone going through like a little demo there that they were doing. And then the big one, here's the big one. They announced 2 big games, console games, that they're saying, well, 3 if you really think about it, 3 big console games that they announced for the upcoming App Store, for the Apple App Store: Resident Evil 4 Remake, Resident Evil Village, and Assassin's Creed Mirage. Okay, so with all that said, Kay, it looks like Apple wants to make a dent in this space. And I sent you a question, right, when I sent the show notes. We this is a PC centric show, so I want to kind of focus a little bit on the mobile space of Apple, but also on their PC front. Okay, so what are your thoughts, first of all, about their announcements, and then we'll get further into the discussion.
So, I mean, for me, Apple has quietly been gobbling up like gaming money for a while now, right? Apple Arcade is quietly a juggernaut. Quietly, it's a juggernaut. It just is, right? And it's a juggernaut by virtue of them being Apple. They don't even pay attention to the gaming market as much as they should, I don't think, but by offering Apple Arcade and making it very easy, and offering something now, full disclosure, I am one that thinks that Apple are they tend to be some snake oil salesmen a little bit, okay? But as I am with all things, I am a man that lives in 2 worlds. I'm a personal and Android user, and for work, I'm an iPhone user. Yeah, so I have to have both with me.
Yeah, I have both. I have a very old iPhone for work, and then I have a flip for personal use, which I love.
Yeah, and I've had every single iPhone from jump up until now. So I always have one, and I also have almost most Android devices as well. So I just happen to live in both ecosystems, so I kind of see what happens on both sides of the house. But specifically with gaming, it looks like Apple has been trying to get into this space for quite some time. They've done it on the Mac side. They've been diversifying their hardware. They've been really putting together the unified framework that they've come up with. If it ever was adopted, would change the game. Frankly, it'll never get adopted because you'd have to upend too much of gaming to do it. You'd have to literally develop in a whole new different way in order to make use of Apple's, and this is on the Mac side, to make full use of their infrastructure. And in order to do that, it's kind of like the Microsoft versus Sony debate we've had before. Whereas right now it's not advantageous for them to go the opposite way because Sony's the market leader. Right now, Apple has done some very interesting things in hardware on their side, but Windows is the market leader. So it's not advantageous for anyone to ever use any of the cool, interesting features that Apple keeps releasing.
Yeah. So I think that this conversation is very important to cut it in different sections, right? So what you're referring to, I'm assuming, to summarize real fast, is you're referring to the work that Apple is doing to try to convince publishers and developers to use their tools to create games. Okay, that's basically what you're summarizing.
Yes, and they're super successful on the mobile side of the house, not so much on the desktop side of the house, right?
Right.
So this to me, this keynote, this event to me is just one step along the line on that, right? To me, they are going to push their way into the door, right? They're going to keep trying to do it their Apple kind of way. Look, we invented gaming. Yeah, right. But eventually they will connect, right? And either they connect by finding some new avenue that we didn't think about, that we then find out is more amazing than we thought it was, because that's what Apple does, right? Make you like things you didn't think you needed, right? Or, like I think it was Kirby Zerlouis said in the chat, or they buy their way in and you hear that they bought like Sony or something, right? I really do think that they are on the cusp of, with Netflix also coming in and all of that. These guys are taking a serious look at what the gaming space looks like, and
I agree.
they want a piece of it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But let me ask you before we move on to the to the other portions, because again, I think that this is a multifaceted conversation. That needs to be had. Okay, so with their announcement of their A17 the A17 Pro chip, right? Is this strictly a play to get developers on board to develop games for the App Store? Do you think that that's what this is, or do you think that it's so that they can kind of convince developers to develop games just strictly for Apple to be the leading platform? Which of the two do you kind of see here? Because I know you just summarized that they're for sure they have the mind share and they have the support from the publishers and the developers from a mobile standpoint. But like, for example, is this a move to make Capcom say, hey, Resident Evil 9, when Resident Evil 9 comes out, release day and date with the consoles? Do you think that that's what they're kind of going for here?
So I see where you're going with it, and I can understand why people are talking in those terms. You know, I heard a lot of conversation about, oh my God, they're putting console games on phones finally, things like that. Because, you know, with the announcement of like Assassin's Creed Mirage and things like that.
Right.
My first thought on that was they announced Assassin's Creed Mirage. They didn't announce Assassin's Creed Odyssey. They didn't announce Assassin's Creed Origins. Now, they didn't announce Valhalla, right? And you think about that and you go, oh, come on, but those games are older. They would probably work better. Yes, they would, right? You'd think logically, older game, less hardware, less overhead. They should be able to work easier. The older the hardware, the older the game, the newer the hardware, the more chances are that they'll work.
By brute force.
Mirage is the new game, true, but it's a new game where they've promised to scale the whole thing down back to AC1, right? The big open world monster AAA huge fair, that's not coming out. But the one where they promise that they're going, yes, the graphics will be great. Yes, they'll optimize. Yes, it'll look great. But what they're promising you to bring to your phone is the one where it's not the open world big monster game that you know of as Assassin's Creed anymore. Wow. It's literally a remake of Assassin's Creed 1. They're taking 2023 gaming mentality and modern gaming parlance and remaking Assassin's Creed 1 because people don't like the big open world.
Yeah, one interesting thing that I saw was that they are developing a whole new division, a mobile version of Division, right? For that they really want to push this A17 chip, but then they're developing also at the same time they're promising the console version of Mirage. So where I'm a little confused is, wouldn't they? It's hard to say. Like, wouldn't they want to also release, for example, the Division 2 since it's a console game and bring that up, or what do you think? Because that's where I'm a little confused on what it is that they're doing. Like, I kind of understand what they're doing. They're dipping their toes is what they're doing. But like from a kind of like a, I guess you can say from a development standpoint, I guess that they're living in two worlds. Ubisoft, that Ubisoft always they one thing about Ubisoft is that they really support new technology. They've always done that, because I remember that they supported even the Wii U early on, like a lot. They've always done
the reference design. The reason why I have Assassin's Creed Odyssey on PC is because I was in on the beta and they were testing it out, and there was this cool, interesting thing called Google Stream, and it was using Assassin's Creed Odyssey to do it.
Right.
And they eventually gave me a free copy of it, and that turned into Stadia. Right. They are always part of whatever thing you. Ouya comes out, they'll release a game for the Ouya. Like, that's what they do.
So are you convinced that if, let's say, Assassin's Creed Mirage was a Valhalla like Odyssey like game, open world, and in the classic, way that they've been doing it, and it wasn't a throwback to AC1 and 2, you think that game would not be able to run on this thing? Is that what you're saying, or no? I'm not saying
it would not be able to run, because much like think of the example of and I'm not talking about the systems, because it's a whole different thing, mobile versus all the others. But think of Diablo Immortal versus Diablo 4, right? Have you ever actually seen Diablo Immortal?
Yeah, it looks great.
Have you seen it on the phone? Have you seen the Diablo Immortal that ended up on the PC? Because you can actually download Diablo Immortal, the mobile game, on a PC, right?
Yeah, I played both. Yeah.
Yes. When that came out before the PC version, before the Diablo 4 proper, I was like, I have to try this. Why? Because I was convinced, and I think I was right, that they built Diablo Immortal knowing that they would then have to add more bones to it and Diablo 4 it. But the bones of Diablo 4 is Diablo Immortal, right? That's what Mirage is. They built it for everything, right? And that's the reason why I'm saying it's a sticking point. Because Origins, Valhalla, all those were AAA PC/console games that have been ported all over the place. They are still not capable of bringing those to your favorite phone. Not yet. They're still too big. They're still too performant. They still require too much overhead. And I'm not saying that it's impossible. I would never say that. I'm not saying that. But the idea the idea that folks have come up with that, oh my God, with the idea that Mirage specifically is coming on the console, that now onto phones, that we are now at this precipice where things have changed. I think that's a bit marketing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of marketing. Yeah.
So here's a couple of questions right away, technical questions, because I love asking these from you. Okay. If first of all, Resident Evil 4 remake and Village and Mirage, and I saw also Kirby Louise, he mentioned that Death Stranding is also coming, right? I didn't see that.
That's the one. That's the one. Out of all of them, that's the one that raises my eyebrow. Because I will tell you, the RE engine, we have proof positive. That thing is a beast, right? The RE engine is able to spit out games left and right, runs like butter every time. It's proven itself to be that good. So to have the idea that, the RE engine can scale down to a console, to scale down to a phone, and still be able to produce the PC performance that you see and all of that, I can see it, right? I can see all of them. The only one that surprises me is the Decima engine. Yeah. That's surprising, right? No one thought, and of course this was created, under Sony, they would not have the Sony, the mobile mindset when they're creating this engine, which obviously this was created by Guerrilla. So maybe the porting houses are really good. I would love to see, how that turns out when it's all said and done. And I would love to read some things about it and see what they did to, this is what I use for Digital Foundry for. I hope that they do something like this and then they sit down on a couch and talk about their process of getting it there. Because specifically Decima would be very, very impressive to me. The others, I kind of expect that from them.
Okay. Well, first I want to say hello to Lady Foxfire in the chat. What's up? How you doing? Thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
Second, right? So what do you think on the App Store when Resident Evil 4 remake and Village hits, because those are the first ones coming later this year? What do you think is going to be the price on those games? Because this is something that I think is going to be a challenge for Apple. Personally, I could be wrong, but what would you guess that the price of those games are going to be on the App Store?
Oh, on the Apple App Store, I bet it's like $20-$30. I bet. Okay. I bet. Yeah, it's $20 at least $20. Yeah. Which, don't get me wrong, these games are proper games that deserve to be your attention, and if they execute them and they bring them out in the full complete package that you're used to, then they deserve to be paid for proper pricing. It's just unfortunate that platform, that ground has been ceded too much to all those the craven and the malicious practices, that it makes it difficult for anybody, any real person who has no problem paying $100 for the special edition, to drop even $10 on a mobile game.
Right? And the reason the reason that I think it's going to be a challenge for them at first, because it's Apple, so they're gonna push and they're gonna market, and they have, number one, they have the money, number two, they have the know-how. Okay, these are the people selling us a watch every year. Okay, with literal to no revisions. All right, so, and that's just my opinion. Don't go after me, guys. So this is what I want to know. from a hardware perspective, and this is why the talk of the chip of the A17 chip is so important. From a hardware perspective, they're promising power here. They're promising, that this thing is gonna your mobile experience is gonna be make your mobile gaming experience is gonna be better than ever. But listening today to C Money and Doodle on their show that was fantastic, they brought up a couple of good things, and that's that they really do see this as the introduction point for Apple to grab some of that market share, which I kind of agree with them to a certain extent. The only thing that I see are the challenges that Apple has, right? And one of them is, like we were just talking about, the pricing. The pricing on these games is going to be a little steep for them, a little steep of a challenge for them, unless they're always releasing older games. When it comes to day and date, if they want to sell like let's say that the newest Call of Duty comes out. I don't know. I'll just throw that out there. Call of Duty comes out, and Microsoft wants to make a version for the iPhone. How? That's the gap where I'm a little
different
confused.
market. See, but that market's already been decided. It's already been established. If you play Call of Duty on a console, you're paying $70.
Yeah.
If you play Call of Duty on the phone, you're paying $0.99 to start with. That is the world we live in today. You don't flip it up and just go, oh, by the way, ours is now $70. Good luck with that.
That's the challenge that I think they have now. If they start in my opinion, if I was in charge, the way that I would do it is kind of like the way that they're doing it, which is a soft launch here, where you have games being ported to kind of show the audience and the consumer that, hey, you know what? You can have a console-like experience on Apple, on our products, on our iPhone, and you can take your console experience with you anywhere through our phone. So if they release games like Resident Evil 7 remake 4 remake and Village and stuff like that, they're kind of now training the consumer again. Like, hey,
my only pushback, and maybe I'm being a pessimist here, and if I am, please call me out on it. I'm fine with that. My only pushback, my only problem, even and first off, I think the whole premise that console gaming and PC gaming and mobile gaming are now so close together that it's the same. I think that is marketing hogwash. That is the whole 720p to 1080p to 4K. That step ladder that they got everybody on, and now all of a sudden they realized it was a bad idea. This is the same kind of idea.
I think you're right, because even the way that the games are developed and like just from the nature of the
apples and oranges. It's not the same, and people just like that whole premise of it being you can no longer tell the difference. I think that is not true. I think that is marketing to just get you to buy in. But even in a world where it is, let's assume it is 100%, it is, right? Console games and mobile games are just so interchangeable. You just can't tell the difference because graphic performance are so well optimized. Somehow battery technology has come so far that we're getting Series S in our pocket on our phone, right? Still, the problem I have with Apple today is Apple will never sell you an accessory to play your games. And console gamers and real hardcore gamers will never regulate to just touchscreen and getting rid of buttons. Until one of these two factions cracks, I don't see Apple ever being successful.
Well, remember,
they'll give us the sleekest design hardware, but then they'll expect you to go buy a backbone to get the full use.
Well, I was going to get there. Don't forget that these are the people that will sell you a USB-C and try to upcharge you $120 for it.
But remember though, this is the gaming space. The minute that you don't make a what do you call it, the Kinect mandatory, the minute you make it optional, no one's developing for it anymore. Because in order for it to hit the biggest market, you must make sure everyone has it. The minute you make it optional, it's not everyone has it anymore. And yes, Apple's pool is huge, right? Huge pool. But if you don't make the process mandatory across the board and you make it optional, right, then the person who's developing doesn't doesn't know if you have it or not. Oh, do you have Bluetooth? Oh, do you? It's true. Any controller works on iPhone, but you cannot make a game and mandate controllers like controller requirements. You can have controller support, which many games have today, right? But even in that respect, how many controller support games have you played on iPhone or on any phone?
I mean, you can tell that the developers like what's that Genshin Impact or Call of Duty, Call of Duty Mobile has incorporated because I play Call of Duty Mobile. The only disconnect I think I have with what Apple I think is trying to do here is that I don't think that they're from that press conference, I didn't get that they're trying. I'm not getting that they're trying to invade or encroach on Xbox, PlayStation, or the Switch's market share from that standpoint. I think that what they're trying to do, at least that I got from it, is that they're trying to convince the publishers that it's worth it for them to develop one more version of their game, because now they're going to be giving, they're giving them more power. So they're saying, look what's possible here. They were able to get Resident Evil 4 remake on our device, on our A17 Pro chip. So I don't really think that this is a play to try to invade that space at all. But I do think that eventually, right, if they play their cards right, look, they're not talking to me, you, or anybody in this chat. That's not who they're trying to get. I think that the person that they're trying to get is that person that just owns an iPhone and goes into the App Store and is like, oh, look, Resident Evil is available on here for $25, $30. I'm not going to buy a PlayStation for that. Let me buy it here.
Well, and to be clear, as a person who has tried the App Store, like their Apple Arcade subscription for a little while, it's a righteous deal. Like if you want to live in that water and play in that water, it's a righteous deal. It's just the only problem, specifically, like you're saying, it's not for me, right? The problem is anytime there's anything worth playing, you want a controller and then you don't have it, and that's a dead end. Like, for example, right now, Netflix, pro tip, Netflix, if you want to play WrestleQuest, right? Very cool, interesting game that came out. You want to play WrestleQuest, you can either pay for it on all these various places, or if you have a Netflix subscription, which chances are you're watching us, chances are you have a Netflix subscription. If you go into the App Store there, it is there, both on Android and on iPhone. You can literally go there under the game, type in WrestleQuest, and play it for free. Now, the only requirement is you have to play it on a touchscreen, right? And you can play it on a Switch, you can play it on a PC, you can play it on a Steam Deck, you can play it everywhere. On the iPhone or the Android phone, you have to play it on a touchscreen.
Right.
As much as I've wanted to play WrestleQuest, and it looks like a super interesting RPG based on wrestlers, old school wrestlers, I can't bring myself to play that game because it's all touchscreen. Yeah. So I have it installed and I have not played. And I'm honestly thinking that is going to be until Apple does something different. The world we live in today, where it's an optional thing, and Apple has that magical ability to tell you need something you didn't know you need until they tell you need it. Maybe they can do that. But in the world we live in today, where controller support is optional, they will not crack the nut. It needs to be available. As a developer, you need to know that anyone and everyone that touches your game has this controller.
Okay, let me tell you this, and this part I think was very important from the conversation that C Money had with his wife this morning. Okay, Doodle.
Yeah.
One thing that's very true, and I agree with them on this, is that the generation that will probably buy the game is used to the touch controls, because remember the conversation we just had last week with C Money, for example, that all of our kids, they don't want to touch a controller. If you give them a touch screen, like my daughter, she loves playing Roblox on the tablet, and if I give her the game on Xbox, she's lost. She's like, I don't know what I'm doing here. So
no, you're right.
So because of that though, and because of that limitation, I don't, where I'm convinced that this is going for Apple is that I don't think that they're, again, like I'll repeat myself, I don't think that they're trying to convince developers, hey, forget about Xbox versions, PlayStation versions,
No.
PC
Yeah,
versions.
that's never going to be where they're going to win.
I don't.
That's never
they're
been
not. They're not going to win that. But I think that they're
Yeah.
trying to convince them, hey, look at our ecosystem because it has so many players across the board, and then you can add one more SKU to your development, which will be worth your time.
I will just double back on one thing you said, and I find it interesting that you were saying that. Double back on what you were saying about our kids, basically, are the ones that they're marketing to, and you're right on that. The only thing that I think that for now they haven't successfully threaded that needle successfully is they keep trying to offer non-controller support stuff, right? Non-controller support content, right? Which the content itself is for people like you and me.
Right.
Your Mirage, right?
Right.
All those things, right? To people who insist on controller support.
Right.
Right. They have not threaded the needle of, hey, let's market the non-controller support stuff to the people who are okay with non-controller support. They keep giving us, it's the same thing like VR. They keep saying, look, Resident Evil in VR. No, us VR heads don't want flat games in VR. We want VR games in VR.
Yeah. You want VR experiences.
Same thing they're doing here. They keep, and you're absolutely right. When they finally thread the needle and they're able to offer games that don't require controller support and are just playable and are wonderful, like your Roblox and all that, right? If they're able to offer more games of that ilk to our kids or younger, to the younger market, it'll take off with no issues and it'll be a great service, right? And they'll get their money out of it. But for now, every time they try to say, look at us, we are worthy. Kirby. Every time they release content to show us that it's worthy, the content itself they're releasing is lackluster because it requires controller support.
Yeah, but I can see, look, and again, where I was going with, these are the same people charging us for USB-C cables and a VR headset that's going to cost $3,000. There's no doubt in my mind that when they have a steady release of games, here comes an Apple backbone-like device that's going to be $200.
Well, but don't get me wrong too. Apple Arcade, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, they have been quietly sucking up all the monies for like 4 years now.
Yeah.
It's not like they're starting, oh, you're hearing this Apple Arcade thing is going to be a monster. No, they are literally in the top 5 of game publisher revenues.
Yeah,
like right with Google, and then of course your top end regular publishers. They have been in this market for a long time now, and it seems, and maybe maybe they're now seeing that they have the talent, and now they're going to go for more. But they've just kind of been okay sitting back like this for the past 4 years, collecting the check, and they've been getting it right.
Yeah.
So no, we shall see where they go with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting, and I'm trying not to let the marketing get one over on me, because I feel like every time Apple shows up and goes, look what we've invented, people goes, oh my God, they've invented something. And we're like, my Android phone shakes its head because it's had this feature for 5 years. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. But there is an audience, and they dominate. Yeah. They dominate because they have the Sony factor, which is the PlayStation factor. But
look here.
But I got
they
two more
created
things
ray tracing. Ray tracing for phones, amazing. Yeah, that's been on Android for like many years. There's stuff like that.
I got 2 more things with the Apple conversation, and then we'll move on. Okay, so the first one for you, in looking, let's focus a little bit, because we know that the mobile portion of it is the chip, the A17 chip, right? Is this A17 chip, again, from a technical standpoint, do you think that they're going to start implementing these things on like Apple TVs, on laptops? Like, what's the play there? What do you think that they're going to do with this chip? Or is this strictly a play on mobile?
Oh, it's strictly a play on mobile, because the chip technology they're using, their plan for the chip technology, you've already seen it happen. It's already in fruition. It's not something they're starting, right? They started in the chip in the mobile space with the Abionics and the this and the that, and now they have the M1s and the M2s and the M3s. Those are all the same chips, but just like exponential resources. This one is regulated for desktop class. This one's regulated for mobile class. But by and large, they shared the same architectural code base, right? there's a world where one day they can bridge the gap and finally have one device that does both the mobile apps and the desktop apps, like, right? Because it's not like a different play, it's the same play. It's just one thing you're seeing from them is they are the kings. And when I say the kings, I mean Mount Rushmore. They got a crown on their head, no one can beat them. Kings of marketing.
Oh yeah.
Why do I say this?
PlayStation's right there with them though. They're like, right
well, no,
there.
I think that PlayStation is only able to convince PlayStation fans. Sony, Apple is able to convince the world. It's a big difference.
I don't know
PlayStation
about that.
fans.
I think
PlayStation fans compared to Apple are huge. Apple literally has drones that follow them everywhere in the world.
Yeah,
PlayStation fans only convinces a shrinking market.
Yeah,
that's why they're going to a different place.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. Look, fanboys are fanboys, okay? But let me tell you, in the conversations I've had, there's 3 types of fanboys that are like the most hardcore I've ever seen: PlayStation fanboys, Apple fanboys, and MCU fanboys. Okay,
sure,
those 3 are fun. Like they don't steer.
You're using militancy as your barometer. It's not militancy you should be using. It's amount. It's how many of them are there, right? And yes, when you're inside the bubble, the PlayStation fan is the most militant. But there's like 15 of them compared to all of the Apple drones. Yeah. Like there's 15 of them in comparison. That's now, true. What do I mean by Apple is the kings of marketing? Like right now, if you have an Apple phone, your phone is missing a very valid protocol. But Apple has convinced you it's a feature, not a bug.
The lightning charger, man, it solved world hunger. You didn't hear?
Right? Until the EU went, sorry, people. Now you have no choice. You need a lightning, a USB-C port. By the way, people, if you thought that they finally created the USB-C port because they discovered it, magic, no, it's because they lost a bet, and the Eurozone was like, no. Listen, if you want to continue selling,
my abuelita doesn't know that. My abuelita thinks that they created this thing. Okay, leave her alone.
They were told that if you want to continue selling iOS devices in the Eurozone, it's going to have a unified framework of the port. So now they're bold and they're courageous with their USB-C ports.
And the reason why the battery, right? Something about the battery.
Whatever. The reason why I'm so jaded with them is because I used to work for a company, a competing company, we'll say, right, who makes laptops. Competing company in laptops. I will just leave it at that. And these competing companies that you probably have heard of before are always ridiculed about how bad their designs are, how crappy their workmanship, whatever, right? And all valid criticism. But what I will tell you is, right next to that trash pile that is and I'll just throw some names out here: your Gateway devices, your Lenovo devices, your HP devices, your Dell devices. Whichever device you used to call trash, that same factory that made them makes your Apple devices as well.
That's true. I heard that the Gateway cow is in that Party Animals game, by the way. Right? So, all right. So let me ask you this too, because and this will bookend this conversation with Apple. Okay.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
I mentioned this morning on C Money Show. What worries me personally about Apple, Google, Amazon, Tencent encroaching in the video game space, this is what gets me worried about that, is that from just experience, we kind of see that they're not in it for the long run. They need a quick ROI or they're gone. Okay. And what I mean by they're gone is not that Apple now isn't going to have games in their ecosystem and Google is not going to have games in their ecosystem. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that let's say that Apple would have been the ones to make the jump for Activision and they would have successfully bought them. If they didn't get an ROI right away with Activision, I believe that they would shut it down quicker than PlayStation would or Xbox or Nintendo, because it's just different. They're in gaming, but they're not in gaming, if you know what I'm trying to say here. Okay?
I agree. I do. I see. Although let's be fair, because this will live on the internet for posterity forever, and somebody will watch you say that and go, Well, actually,
Yeah.
Nokia was bought by Microsoft, and one of the first things they did was close Nokia. So
there you go. Now, I mean, the thing is, but it's the truth though. Like sometimes and that's always been the fear. And I think Phil Spencer even mentioned this, that, hey, we have these outside companies that are coming in and they're looking to put their footprint on in gaming, which there's nothing wrong with that. This isn't a gatekeeping type comment that I'm making. It's just that legitimately it does kind of worry me from the standpoint that Xbox has history, 20 plus years in gaming. PlayStation and Nintendo, not even, they have longer legs in the game, right? So that's the part that I'm a little worried if they were to start buying publishers now to try to move this thing, to really try to make a move on this thing. But they have all the right to do it. I mean, at the end of the day, if they want to grow within the gaming space and they're going to invest, as long as they're in it, I'm all right.
So here's where I get more slanderous. And you picked a great topic for me because I will get slanderous on Apple all day. So I believe, and here's where my Windows guy tropes start to show.
Oh,
we live in a world.
James is hardcore there.
we live in a world, right, where the general consumer, is more knowledgeable now than they've ever have been. Are we like technical Wi-Fi and technical prowess is ubiquitous now. Some of that stuff is commonplace now.
This is what
am I wrong?
This is what I'll say about that comment. I'll say that the majority is still people that have no clue, but I think
of course.
I think that the people that do know,
that's right. Yes,
we make up a bigger pool than ever before.
There's a conversation. There was an article that said like the iPhone that you used like 2 years ago is way more powerful than the supercomputer that controlled the entire state of Rhode Island in the 90s, right? Everyone uses supercomputers in their pockets today, right? So that's a thing. My contention is, if we lived in a world where Apple was allowed to be the only innovator in the entire space, whether it be in mobile and or desktops, right? I feel like because they did not win the desktop race, that's why they learned how to fight the good fight in the mobile space. Because let's be honest, as much as people talk about it in this bubble or whatever, Windows still won. Windows still kills them. Only in small circles do they shine. Windows still wins. And that's the reason why they've taken a different approach on the mobile side. And I feel like had they succeeded in the Windows space, now here comes the slanderous words from me, the humanity would be dumber for it.
Okay. Are you trying to say because they would try to lock things down as much as possible?
Here's why I say it. Okay. Here's why I say this. A buddy of mine called me up. Hey buddy, I just bought this new Mac system. It's awesome. You got to come check it out. I'm like, all right, cool. I go and I visit him. He bought this new Mac. It's got a magic mouse. Now, if you know Mac's magic mice, it's literally a whole sleek the mouse. The top of the mouse is touch sensitive. You're able to do any of your gestures on top of the mouse, right? Mm-hmm. No buttons. Literally, you're supposed to take it out the box, put it on the table.
Gimmicky stuff. Mm-hmm.
It detects the hardware and it works.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if it doesn't work? You got to send it back to Apple. You got to go call the Apple store. Like, right? Whereas if it's a Windows device, if it's a regular Windows device, it's got a reset button right here. It's got another button right there. It's got, like, they build troubleshooting into everything they do because they have to, because a million different kinds of people from all walks of life use it, right? At any moment in time, you're on an HP, you're on a Windows device. You got to print from this. You got to print from that. My little sister, she was going to med school. She's like, everyone uses the Mac. I'm like, don't use a Mac. Trust me, use Windows. 2 years in, she's like, oh yeah, as soon as their Macs break down, everybody throws their hands in there. They don't know what to do. I'm the one that fixes everyone's PCs for them now, she says.
Yeah, well,
this is what I mean.
I get you. The only thing is that, look, Apple, they're very PlayStation-like in that, or I should say PlayStation is very Apple-like in the way that, like, they really want to control
Yeah.
their business model from beginning to end, right? So like for example, like you just mentioned the tech support stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff being proprietary, that it only works on Apple. That's like the PlayStation has copied them kind
The
of
best
like
way
in the gaming world. You know what I'm saying?
the best way I've heard it described is while most companies monetize the business model, Apple monetizes their consumer.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way.
That's all they do. They monetize their consumer, not the business model. It's not about, hey, we make this, you pay for this, and we do such a good job that you want to pay for this. It's more about we spend our time finding ways of separating you from your dollars at every turn.
Right. We want you to pay us to literally sit there and we'll take care of everything for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is like C Money just mentioning, most people prefer simple, just
simple.
Like
yes. Just like console games. That's right. Absolutely.
Nothing wrong with that. But once you reach a certain, I guess you can say,
he just very nicely called y'all troglodytes. I'm sorry. He just
So all right. So let's put a bookend on the Apple talk. I thought that was very good. And so I think from a we tackled it from a mobile and PC space, which is what I kind of wanted to pick your brain about. So that was excellent. All right, let's move on now to the second half, right, Kay? This is now last week. I saw a video, I forgot from who, but I saw a video on YouTube where they were saying that in the next few months, a Steam Deck like device, all right, is apparently going to be released. And the reason that they were able to kind of get this information is because there's a data miner, okay, called Rasbo. He discovered something called a Galileo EV2 in the Steam Deck firmware. All right. What they described was that EV2, which stands for engineering validation, is usually what they do when they're about to mass produce a new device. Okay. So there's been talks in the Steam, deck community that this was probably going to be either a VR device or it was going to be something completely new. Is it going to be a redesign of the Steam Deck? They don't think so, because from Valve themselves, they said that they're not expecting a redesign on the Steam Deck for years and years to come. So that's not what they're looking at. So everybody's money is on a Steam Deck like console device that's catered towards your living room. Okay, so a Steam Box 2.0. All right, so let's talk about that a little bit here. So right away, this is what I think, that if this happens to be true, this is basically what I think that this device is going to be. I think that this is going to be a Steam Deck, but without the screen, without the buttons, in the form factor of a little console, and you hook it up to your TV, and they're going to sell you probably a controller, a Steam controller, or a controller of your choice. And I think that that's what they're doing. What do you think?
So in this scenario of yours, it would be the same hardware profile as a Steam Deck.
Exactly.
I think that would be a mistake.
Okay.
I think that'd be a mistake. Why? Because Valve has even come out and said the reason why the Steam Deck is what it is, exactly what it is it is an amalgamation of concessions, right? What can we concede on the screen? What can we concede on the CPU? What can we concede on the memory and the storage and the battery, all to make an attractive price point while still giving you the goal of gaming on the go in a PC form factor, right? In a PC sense, right? That's what animated them. Gabe Newell himself said that, right? And the screen and all that, and the original early $299, $300 or $499, $400 price point really hurt them because there's a lot in that thing, even though it's at the lower end, right? So with that in mind, I don't foresee them taking that exact reference design and just plugging it in, because even if you do that, you gain a lot, right? You gain a lot. How do I know that? Because a Nintendo Switch exists, and so does the NVIDIA Shield. Both same chipset. Only two in the world to this day that have the same chipset that are still actively in production, right? And the Shield is way more powerful than the Switch, right? So while I think that would behoove them to be like, oh well, we'll just turn up the dial and make it a bit more performant, and then we'll just call it a day. I don't see Valve doing that. They've never been that way. Like every time they make a game, it's a game that pushes the envelope. Every time they make hardware, it's hardware that's made to push the envelope.
So
they don't ever make anything because they want to make money. They always make something to move the ball forward. Look at, like, think of the last 10 years of whatever they've shown off. Like 10 years of whatever it is they've shown off. It's always been in support of some drastic, some interesting, some VR. They needed to move the ball forward, right? Half-Life Alyx, they needed to move VR software forward.
Right.
Even the Orange Box, Portal, like every time they release something, it's to move something forward, not just, hey, we need cash, because, hey, Steam, it gives us all the cash we need. So because that's always been their mindset, it would be very surprising to me that they just turn up the dial a little bit on a Steam Deck, call it a Steam machine, and move on. I expect to see something magical if it's a box that sits in the living room, because that's what they do.
So let's say that they can get this thing up to running. I don't know. Let's say that they match the price of $399. Okay, $399. You think that they would need to up the specs here in order to even be considered something that's viable for the market, or do you think?
Oh yeah,
because I agree with everything that you just said.
But remember though, $399 is a different equation when you're talking about a machine in your living room versus something on the go. That $399 had a screen and a battery that needed to be performant, right? In a box on your living room, there's no screen, there's no battery. Those two are critical pieces, right? So you can reuse the funds you were taking for your battery and your screen, which the screen is the most performant part, the most important part of a handheld device. You move that out of the equation. Now all of a sudden you have a lot more money and a lot more resources to play with, right? So they could still hit that $400 price point, and I think it'll be more performant than your Series S.
Okay.
I think you can do that.
So from the Valve that you would fully expect them, if this is a play on a console-like PC device for the living room, you are kind of like, you would be disappointed anything lower than, more powerful than a Series S, for example. You would be disappointed in them?
Yeah. I would expect them to be mid-tier to high-end. They would not come in low-end. Because you want low end, you have a Steam Deck. It's there for you. It exists. It has a dock. You can plug it in. But the minute you dock it, its issues start to show, because now you have to blow it up to a bigger size screen and all that. All that, he says, the horror. All that is the reason why I'm like, I don't foresee them doing that. They will create something that will be just like the Steam Deck, full of concessions, but the concessions will emphasize you to want to purchase, right? Just like the concessions they made with the Steam Deck gave you an amazing device that costs ridiculously low prices, right? And yes, the Steam Deck could use a better battery. Yes, the screen could be a bit more performant. Yeah, you can see the shaving corners left and right, but still what they have there was so performant and so amazing that it's still to this very day the best of the best. Even right now, here's my Zoe A1, right? If I'm playing at low TDP, right, certain low TDPs, there's just no
you'll still reach
Steam Deck
over
still wins.
Yeah, you'll still reach over for
exactly
the Steam Deck,
right?
And if you're going on a trip, you'll still take the Steam Deck over your
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that when they release a console, it has to do something special that Steam Deck does right now in the handheld space, right? That Index does right now in the VR space. To this very day, the Valve Index has been beaten up and down by all these other VR headsets. And I know VR is not a big topic, but they've been beaten by all these other headsets. But the Knuckles controllers, still to this very day, is the pinnacle of VR. No one's beaten a Valve's Knuckle controller. You just can't get, even the wireless is not as good as the Valve's Knuckle controller.
Do you see
it's
them
what they do?
Do you see them releasing maybe a 3 SKU kind of tier like they did with the Steam Deck, where the storage might be the difference here? And let's say that they can get a device let's say that they can get a device, because let's think PC here for a second.
Okay.
Let's say that they're able to get a APU that is as performant as let's say a 3060 Ti or a 3060 or a 3070. Keep it up kind of like on the NVIDIA side of things, right? Thinking performance wise. Arguably, those graphic cards are as powerful as the X and the PlayStation 5. I mean, in my opinion, unless you're using the tools that are made for the consoles themselves, and you take advantage of those tools, right? How much realistically do you think that they can release something, knowing their history now, that they were able to take a hit for the Steam Deck just to get it in people's hands? What if they're serious about getting in people's living rooms and they want to take a hit? What's the price point here? I'm going to give you the role of Gabe. What's the price point that you need to hit here and the power here?
I mean, everyone knows what the price point is. The price point is the price point that was established by console makers many years ago. That $399, yes, that is the price point. And that's why these devices are concessions. That's what it's about, right? If it wasn't the concessions, the device.
Hold on. We just had new consoles released at $499, and then the PlayStation selling as high as $550. So and I could even see them going to $500 here.
But remember, this is Valve we're talking about. They know that their audience is not the console audience, right?
Okay.
And the console audience will pay, the non-console audience, the PC audience, will pay top dollar for what they consider value. That's what the PC audience will do. They will pay top dollar for what they consider value. But what the PC audience will also do is they'll go out of their way and spend needless money if you push them the wrong way. Look at people like Mr. John Wolf refusing to download different launchers for free games.
Horrible.
Right? This is what they do, right? They will not, seriously, they will not, like, they know the PC audience.
Oh, speaking of launchers, I was messing around with the beta version of Ubisoft today because I want to I want to try out that Crew Motorfest. I'm going to sign up for a month. Come on, man. Like, again, why the multiple launchers, man? Okay? You know what it is to try to launch now the Crew from Ubisoft now? Okay, it sucks, but whatever.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you, sir. I don't disagree with you. And quickly to the point you were making about the type of performance they could get. Remember, right now, Valve went to AMD for their processor, right? Yes. And yes, it was a custom processor, but it wasn't custom like the Z1 Extreme, which is basically the 7840U, right? Only a little bit less performant, right? That's what the Z1 is. The Z1 is a little less performant as 7840U, right? But AMD did base it off of a reference design of their own making. AMD also has a lot more performance in these APU segments. Everybody keeps throwing the 7840U at stuff. There's the 79 series chips out there, right? There are lots of chips even within this specific architectural set that they could tap into. And obviously these are chips that would then be plugged into a wall and not have to worry about battery. So you plug that in, they're going to get way more performance and can still be very cost effective.
But are we talking about like what would be like from a marketing standpoint, right? What would be kind of like the thing that they sell? Obviously that you can come into the Steam ecosystem with sales and all the great stuff. But what about, like, are they going to be pushing here 1440p gaming, 4K gaming, 1080p gaming? What do you think here?
So that, to me, that was the problem in the first place, and that's a problem that I don't think Valve has. They don't push snake oil, because that's what that is. That's snake oil you're pushing. Same thing they did with the 1080p versus 4K versus this versus that. You know, we live in a world now where with the right upscaling technologies, 4K looks better upscaled than it does raw. So why would you even talk about it, right? I think they would do better. They'd be better served finding a way of talking about a device that is mid-tier. It has to be mid-tier. cannot be low, can't be the lowest performing, and it also can't be 4090 levels.
Right,
it has to be mid-tier at your $399, $499 price point. That's literally where it has to live. And by mid-tier, it has to overperform, outshine the Series X. Right? So they have to, that's a very interesting needle they must thread in order to appease the PC gamer, right?
Right.
You were able to appease us with the Steam Deck because, hey, it's on the go, so that it gives us value for its meager performance values, right? But the minute it's plugged in and it's in our living room and it's in the couch and it's plugged into the living room, I could pick up my PC and plug it into the living room. Why would I buy this instead of my beefy machine? I can just plug it in there. The convenience ratio is a factor in the equation, but they have to answer the question of performance and still make it console-like. So it's very, very interesting how that works.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for them, but the thing is that I do think that, like, for example, the same way that they were able to win me over with the Steam Deck and introduce me through baby steps to PC gaming. I think that they can do the same thing with a console-like device if they're able to really market this thing to, hey, if you're intimidated by building PCs or they're too expensive or whatever the case may be, get this. This is more powerful than your consoles. You're gonna get, the great experience of Steam and all that good stuff, and then, they can also tap into the market of, hey, Mr. Kayasante, you have a 4090 in your computer room, but you don't have a computer you can't easily pick that sucker up and bring it over to your living room, right? Well, how about this box so that you can continue your gaming on the go in your living room? And yes, you're not going to get that 4090, experience, but we're still going to offer you something better than if you were to buy any Xbox or PlayStation off the shelf, and that's where this really becomes interesting, at least in my opinion. Now, some of the things that I really like to see them hammer out that I think is going to take them to the next level. They need to figure out the anti-cheat stuff. There's still big games that I feel like they're not releasing on the Steam Deck. Your Call of Duties of the world and stuff like that. Those games need to be on the Steam Deck and not with me installing Windows and workarounds.
But
and stuff like that.
That'll never be something that Steam will work on. That's not Steam's problem. It's not Steam's problem. Can these anti-cheat systems work on Linux? Yes, they can. They just need to be ported to Linux to be able to work. Many of them used to have issues that precluded them from being run on there. Many of them have since that time had that have traversed that. It's not a problem anymore. It's just, why bother? De novo, why would you spend the money and the time and the effort to do it on Linux when the whole game is in Windows, right? Why would you bother, right? Even Valve now, right, who has now created an ecosystem that on the Linux side that makes it worth playing on Linux. Even they use a Windows translator to play their games. So there's no need to have any kind of built it for Linux, right? Yes, realistically it should be, right, and it could be, but I don't unless somehow Valve finds a way of threading the needle and doing away with Proton and saying, okay, we're running it natively and you guys all want us to. There's no reason for companies like Denuvo to spend the man hours to create a Linux version, because more often than not, most of their games are being played on Windows anyway.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. I get that. So 2 more questions with the Steam topic. Yeah. First, do you think that this is a console-like device that we're talking about here, or is the community kind of wrong here? And number one, are they going to announce anything in your opinion, or do you think that there's enough smoke here that they are?
Oh, I don't disagree. And the source of the video that you referenced, I think it's Deck Gang. Either it's Deck Gang or it's one of the YouTube channels. Very, very knowledgeable, full of great information. They're usually right more often than not. So if this is what they're saying, then that's what they're saying. And basically what they're saying is they initially thought it was the next level VR headset, and that has now changed. Obviously, it's not a Steam Deck because in order to get a Steam Deck 2, you have to actually have a big leap in performance so that the price tag can still stay the same while giving you a leap in performance, and that has not happened yet. So you're not going to get a Steam Deck 2 until like 2-3 years where there's an actual leap in performance for the same price point. So the only other option is desktop machine that does something similar, which, that's also not surprising because people who since the Steam Deck and the Steam OS came around, people who thought it was cool have been DIYing it into desktop machines all day. Yeah, this is just Valve's official version, so looking forward to checking it out.
I agree with that. Okay, and now the second question, which is the last question. What kind of controller do you think this thing's gonna bring? You think that they're gonna bring back the Steam controller, or what do you think that they're gonna do?
Let me pull it out.
Go ahead. Whoa, pause. What do you mean? Let me pull it out here. Come on, man. That's not the type of show, man. Come on.
Excuse me. Let me whip this out. No. So I say it was a mistake when they first made it, but it still has a lot of legacy. A lot of legacy this thing does. They should have had another. They shouldn't have just made one. They should have had another. I agree with that. But I have two of them. I have one here and I have one still in the box because if it ever dies, I want to be able to replace it. It's difficult to use, but once you program it, this thing is one of the greatest things ever created. Like, they are so good. And even when people stopped using it, eventually the software made its way into the Steam Deck. So I do think that they will probably give you, probably not something this outlandish, but you'll probably get some kind of controller 2.0 that they'll put their stab at. But I don't think they're going to try and revolutionize. See, like I was saying, they're always trying to revolutionize something. This was their attempt at revolutionizing PC games on consoles. And it worked, but you just had to work really hard to configure it to make it work.
Yeah, I think that they'll want to do some type of trackpad on it, maybe in the middle, kind of copy the PlayStation, the DualShock 4, something like that, and then have a more traditional layout for, like the Steam Deck. I mean, I can see that, but you definitely are you convinced that they'll bring out their own piece of hardware, or will they partner with Xbox, for example, or PlayStation with a DualSense? What do you think? You think that they'll make their own?
Oh, 100%. All the hardware will be theirs. They will make their own hardware. Just like they made this hardware, just like they made the other, they will make their own hardware. And then, of course, once they make the hardware, then they'll say, hey, partners, you want to make your own stuff? Here's all the reference design for it. Go ahead and go wild.
Yeah, this is my pretend Steam Steam controller right here. I use the what's this called? The
8-bit dough?
Yeah, the 8-bit dough. It's a really good controller. Brings a charging station, and it's nice. It's nice. It's all black, and I pretend, since it has a little white circle light, I pretend that that's a Steam controller for me.
These are my controllers of choice.
All right,
these are the controllers I use.
Guys, hit up if you're on PC. Hit up what controller you use for your PC.
Yeah,
I was playing Starfield. Of course, I'm playing Starfield on the PC with the Starfield controller.
With the Starfield controller, yes.
And
mine's over there somewhere. Yeah.
And then when I'm not playing Starfield, I'll use the custom controller. Master Chief. You see that Master Chief color there, and it has the 117 there. I know it's kind of hard to see. And dude, I have so many controllers. One day we'll show off everything because the emulation is. I went crazy with the emulation. I got controllers for when I'm playing GameCube, etc. So I wanted to have the controllers for special occasions. So you know how that goes, guys. So all right, let's see. We got Grumpy saying he uses the Xbox. I see a lot of Xbox here. I mean, it is pretty much the standard. Oh, we got one PS5 controller here. What's up, Jordan?
Yeah.
Well,
PS5 controller is great too. Don't get me wrong. I was not a fan of the older PlayStation controllers. Like, I personally think that the PS3 controller was the worst. Like, I really dislike that controller.
Yeah, it's
garbage. They've been increasing and getting better over years. The DualSense is probably their best controller. All they need to do now is fix the battery life on that thing, and it's perfect. It's great. So
it's good. It's a good build. It's a good build. They made it more, roundish a little bit. So I enjoy. I also have one of these up here. So when I'm playing, Ratchet and Clank on a normal hard drive, if you get the joke,
He said
use
on a
that.
normal hard drive.
Yeah,
Why you
man.
gotta be so outlandish, man?
Does, man. You know how it is. So, all right, guys. So it's okay if you want to lead the rest of the show. Go ahead, brother. All my
Yeah,
questions
man.
are done.
Yeah, no. I appreciate you regaling us with such great conversation. It's been a good show. I've enjoyed myself. We were going to show you some other things, but as the Gremlins did not allow, we'll save that for another time.
They got us, man. They got us.
For the PC guys among us. This is my AKO Zoe A1 Pro. This little monster has 64 gigs of RAM and 2 terabytes of hard drive space. Like I think I want to run the show from this thing. 64 gigs of RAM. Anyway,
nice. Well, we got two more things. This. Hold on, we got two more things. Remember, you wanted to let everyone know in the chat. I think I have it here on my notes. I think you have something on sale, right? That you want to announce, just in case anyone's interested.
Yeah. If anyone is interested, I am now in the market to sell a ROG Ally. Actually, my ROG Ally. So real quick, before we get out of here, how did I get my hands on the ROG Ally? So first and foremost, I bought one of these guys, right? This is the AKO Zoe A1 Pro, but I did not win the what they call the Silicon Lottery. So I opened this guy up, mine. I replaced the battery. I'm sorry, the hard drive. Did a bunch of stuff, plugged it back in, turned it on. It was working. Everything's great. Out of nowhere, thing goes dead. Doesn't work anymore. I call up AKO Zoe. They're like, "Oh, we don't know what's wrong, but because you replaced the hard drive, yeah, we're gonna charge you full price to make sure to replace any piece of it." I had just bought this thing.
Surprise.
Right? And it wasn't because I opened it that it broke, but it broke later by itself after I had opened it days ago, right? But the fact that my hand had unscrewed the screw, no, we're not touching it, right? Long story short, found this company. Actually, I should say that they're not sponsoring the show or anything, but they really helped me out. So let me tell you what they are. People in America probably have heard of them before. A company called Assurion. They now have a service called, I think it's Home Plus, where it's $20 a month. You pay $25 a month, and all your tech, old and new, are covered. No need to register them. All tech. Now, what I have found out in hindsight is when they say all tech, they mean all tech that you can easily know of what we're talking about in America. So your HPs, your Lenovo's, your this, your that. If you bring an AKO Zoe, they're like, "What's that?" Yeah. But long story short, after talking and explaining and all of this, I got this early bird pricing. I made out in the deal, even at the end. So my original AKO Zoe came with 512 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of storage, and it was $800, $100 more than the ROG Ally, which was 16 gigs of RAM, right? And for 512 gigs of storage. This guy, same price, $800, 64 gigs of RAM, and 2 terabytes of storage.
Can't go wrong. Wow.
Can't go wrong. So I am now in the market to sell my ROG Ally. Now, what are you going to get with my ROG Ally? You're getting the extreme version, not the regular version. So you're getting the almost 74 840U type performance. And I have upgraded it to a 2 terabyte drive. Also, protective cases, all this extra stuff, all included. Hit me up in the DMs. We'll talk about it.
And you're not going to autograph it either? You said you were going to autograph it for the good people.
Stop it. Serious inquiries only, please. I will ship it to you, even if it's international. If you really want to deal with it,
are you sure you don't have any naked pics in there? Okay, that you're going to include with this thing. All right. So let me. There is one more. There is one more thing. A good community member reached out to me. I'm actually the owner myself of some new tech, and that's the PSVR 2. So I got that coming this week. I'll talk about it. I'm gonna play with it. Pause this weekend, and I'll give you my thoughts on the PSVR.
You're gonna record yourself playing with it?
I don't know about that, man. Okay. Yeah, no missionary gaming, man. I'm telling you, we're not missionary gamers. We game all over the place here. Okay, be all over the place and in different ways. Okay, aka no missionary gaming, and so looking forward to that. And the same community member actually just for everybody in the chat to know, if you're interested, is selling a Series S with the X screen. You know, the little screen that folds in and out.
Yeah.
I
have one of those too. Yeah.
For a great price, $300. The Series S alone is $300. The screen, I think, is like $150, $200, something like that. So if anyone's interested, hit me up, hit K up, and we'll hook you up with that individual.
Excellent. That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Man.
So, we should start this whole thing of like, you don't want something, some other community members will benefit from it. Why not? You know what I'm saying? That's good.
This Craigslist portion was brought to you by. All right. So, okay.
But you know what? Yeah. Before we get out of here, though, like let me once again thank all the people that have been in the chat. We're not good at that. Lots of people already joined us. If you haven't hit the like button on your way out, please consider hitting the like button. We do this every week, and we're going to continue to do this. John does such good work. Topics and all the details that you come to enjoy from the show is all John. Yeah. So thank you, John, for being here.
Throw your virtual tomatoes at me, okay?
Thank you for being here. We appreciate you for being here, John. And of course, myself, you can catch me on this channel, and hopefully we'll be out there doing the interesting things in the weeks to come. We didn't have a show last week because of technical issues, but hopefully that will be fixed for the weeks to come. Mr. John Wolf, tell the fine people where they can keep up with all of your trolling on the X.com.
Yeah, I didn't have much time to troll that much this past week. But I'll be back. I just need to see someone say something dumb. Yeah, hit me up, John Wolf, exactly how it's spelled there, with the X in the front and the X in the back. And then exactly John Wolf, every gaming platform known to man in existence. Hit me up, guys, if you ever want to play multiplayer or anything like that. Liza P, I'm going to be playing that a little bit today. MK1, and then of course going back to Starfield starting tomorrow, because I've been away from Starfield for a few days, and I'm really feeling it, man. It's literally digital crack. Okay.
For those who are Xbox insiders, go check your Insider Hub. Get in on the party animals train, ladies and gentlemen.
We gotta play that.
The train is leaving the station, and it's full of cute animals ready to fuck you up. I'm sorry.
I literally have to choke slam Mr. Joanna Dark, okay, in that game. I have to do it.
That game is hilarious. The cuter they are, the more hilarious it is when they punch you. They knock you the F out, just like
punch you in the nuts. Guys, thank you so much for being here. We had so many great people on the chat. Thank you for your feedback as always and your interaction. We got FTW has been pretty pretty vocal tonight, so we appreciate it, guys. So yeah, that's from me, guys. Until next week.
Have a good week. Keep it gaming, and stay off them Twitter streets. Go play some games. Peace. Oh, and of course, now the video won't work. We can't outro. Look at this. They won't let us outro. You have to get out. And now you're muted. You're muted. I can't hear you. I think we're in the middle. We might be in the middle of a StreamYard outage. Yeah, in the middle of it. See, I can't get the super channel, the channel on the screen. I click undo it and it won't go away. Okay, so it's gone now. All right, so let's see if we can get out of here. This is gonna be the hilarious. Yeah, see now I can hear you. This is crazy.
Are we still live? I think we're still live,
yes,
right?
We are still live.
We don't want to leave, guys. We don't want to leave you guys.
Okay. Mr. John Wolf, the outro. Would you hit that button?
I'll let you know right now. Hold on. We can't hear you now.
What the hell? Well, if you can hear us, goodbye, everybody. This is terrible.